No.
And please, hello, Ulf.
Hello, welcome.
Where are you, Ulf?
I'm in the middle of Sweden, in a town, Härnösand, close to Sundsvall. So I'm in Sweden.
Thank you.
Close to Nyland.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Ebba.
5 o'clock now.
Yeah.
So it is 5 o'clock Swedish time, so we will get started. A warm welcome to all of you to this Icde satellite event hosted by the Swedish Association for Distance Education in Sweden. It's a great pleasure for us to be part of this satellite events because it's a new format and it's very exciting. And I think it will really be very, very good and useful for the forthcoming President Forum, the 25th of November, which will be held online. So I'm really looking forward to the discussion we will have today. We would like you to, if you would like to have your camera on, because it's always nice to be present. We who are working with online activities, we know that presence is one of the quality dimensions. So it's always nice to see you if you don't mind. It's also very good if you would like to write your name and where you are based in the chat. We don't have the Q&A function in this Zoom room, so in case of questions, reflections, etc., we will ask you to write it in the chat. So again, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever where you are in your countries. And that is also one of the beauty with the online events, because we cover more or less always all 24 hours and different time zones. So it's great that we can all be together. I know that we have Caroline Seville from Icde here as well at our event. And of course, I would like to welcome you especially because you have also helped us a lot and supported us to host this event with all the preparations, and you are also responsible for the other events. So it's very nice that you're here, Caroline. Thank you for that. I suppose that you all are struggling with the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is such a terrible situation all over the world, and it really take all of our time and energy. And still I see a lot of innovation, creativity, online events, and really a lot of innovation, and that is fantastic. I mean, although we have this tragedy around the world, maybe something is coming out of it, which is very good. So we just have to keep going and take care of each other and build our network, and together we can do a lot. Alone we are rather vulnerable, but together in our community, in our network, we can do a lot and support each other. So again, thank you very much for being here together with us today. Hi, Xianyang. I would like to share my screen. Can you see it now? Can you see my presentation?
Not yet.
Not yet, no.
What about now?
Yeah, it's coming up.
You can see it now?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your feedback. So this is the satellite enhancement event hosted by the Swedish Association for Distance Education, and we are based in Sweden, of course. It is before the virtual ICD Presidents Forum 2020 with the theme Recalibrating Educational Leadership for Resilient Education. And our event is today, 17th November, and the President Forum is the 25th of November. We decided to have the theme on strong leadership because that is important for resilient, sustainable education to empower strong student ownership for learning. And we will give you some example what is going on in Sweden right now and how that could happen due to strong leadership in different kind of areas. The topics for all those satellite events are about governance, about institutional dimension, and about students' dimensions. And we choose to have to cover the one by government, but that is important for student success for their own learning. So we combine those two. So the program for today is this opening, and we will have a short video by the Secretary General, Tor Gjelsvik from Icde. And then we will present to you something what is going on and happening in Sweden. And then we will have some questions, and then thank you and closing. But before we go further on with the video, I would like to present the two of us who will meet for this hour. It is myself, Ebba Nielsen. I'm a professor in innovation and open online learning. I'm based in Lund in Sweden. I'm an independent researcher and consultant and expert within the field of open education, flexible learning, open online learning, and especially on quality. I'm also in the Icde Executive Committee, and I'm chairing the Icde overall Advocacy Committee. And I have two of my colleagues here from the overall Advocacy Committee, Xian Yang and Daneswar, from China, respectively India. I'm also in the Icde Quality Network, and I'm the Vice President for the Swedish Association for Distance Education. And I'm an Eden Fellow. So my president for the Swedish Association for Distance Education, Ulf Sandström, is also here today to present and discuss together with you what is going on in Sweden when it comes to leadership and governance. Ulf Sandström is a Master of Science, and he's president, as I said, and he's an Eden Fellow and Department for Working Life in Härnösand Municipality in Härnösand. That's approximately somewhere in the middle of Sweden. I'm based in the south of Sweden. So it will be Ulf and myself who you will meet today. So I will stop the screen now and share the video with you.
General of International Council for Open and Distance.
Could you hear it?
See it.
We can hear it, but we can't see it.
Can you see it now?
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
I can't see it.
We can't see it, Emma.
We cannot see it, Ebba.
Here Icde.
You can't see it?
No.
I thought you said you could see it on as well.
We can hear it.
Oh, I see. Let me see then. That is very strange. I try again.
Yeah, it works.
Does it work now?
Yeah, very good.
Yes.
Dear ICDE partners and colleagues, my name is Tore Nelsvik and I'm the Secretary General of International Council for Open and Distance Education, ICDE. It is my pleasure to greet you through this video on the occasion of today's satellite engagement event for the ICDE Presidents Forum 2020. The ICDE Presidents Forum will take place virtually on the 25th of November and will address the topic on how we can recalibrate educational leadership for resilient education. On the day, presidents and rectors of ICDE members will reflect upon educational challenges accentuated by the pandemic and discuss leadership actions and steps that must be taken towards a more resilient education system where open, flexible, and distance education must play a greater role. The difference between flexible and distance education as a planned and pedagogically designed program or course to emergency remote education is crucial. During the crisis, we have seen that educators and societies that already had planned systems, proper infrastructure, and flexible learning concepts in place were much better equipped in order to secure continuous learning than the ones that did not have these systems in place. At the same time, it has been clear that already existing inequalities related to lack of connectivity, social injustice, and the digital divide has been accentuated during the crisis and that targeted measures must be taken. These and many other challenges will be discussed and addressed during the next ICDE Presidents Forum. Through our partners' satellite engagement events and other pre-forum activities, we have invited all ICDE stakeholders and the whole global community of online, open, and distance education to contribute and feed into the discussion. Check out the events page on icd.org that is populated with introductory videos, keynotes, vlogs, and blog posts related to the topic. Through today's event, which you, as a valuable partner to ICDE, is invited to host, you now have the opportunity to contextualize and concretize the leadership challenges that are most relevant for your organization and stakeholders. How should educational leaders respond to the challenges addressed? How can we, as a global membership organization, facilitate for stronger collaboration and partnerships across borders and continents? Again, thank you for engaging in the discussion. I wish you a successful event.
Hear your
Sorry, I know. I'm trying to get rid of it.
mute your
Yeah.
slide first. Have you done it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There we go. Perfect.
yeah, very good.
I will now come back to the presentation again. Can you see it here?
Yeah,
Thank you for the feedback.
Yes, yes, yes.
So thank you very much, Turon, for that introduction. It was very nice presentation from ICD. So you can see the presentation now?
yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so first a very short presentation about the Swedish Associations for Distance Education, which we used to call Sade in abbreviation. So I leave the floor to you, Ulf, the president of Sade.
Yeah, thank you very much. Of course, I want to thank ICDE for this opportunity to have a pre-meeting 1 week before the ICDE Presidents Forum next week. So the title for this satellite event is recalibrating education leadership for resilient education. And on this screen, you can see some screenshots from our website. Our organization is a network with people involved in open, online, and flexible distance learning. And Swedish Association Distance Education was founded in 1984. And it was people that wanted to come together and develop education. They saw new possibilities, new technology, new methodology. And our members are from all over the education field. So we have universities and we have municipalities and some liberal education organizations. And we also have private companies as members in our organization. And what do? We do things like this. We like to initiate collaboration and exchange and share experience and build new knowledge. And we do this by being an open community, organizing events, and nowadays they're mostly online. So we also have a lot of work trying to write about what's going on and how to develop this area, and we will come back to that. So I think we go over to the next slide, Ebba. Yeah, I think the presentation went back now.
Yes, because suddenly something come in between.
Yeah, but we cooperate with many organizations like Icde and Icde.
Is it back?
No, not yet.
It's not back?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Correct.
The next slide is about a lot of corporations that we are involved in. So,
is it back now?
Yeah, the next slide is yours, Ebba, about
yes, exactly.
Our cooperation with Sade. Yeah.
I will take it like in present mode. So we do a lot in Sweden, of course, but we have more and more come into the international arena since many years ago. So we are, as Ulf said, and said in the beginning, we are rather heavily involved in Icde. Not just for this event, and as I said also in the beginning, I'm in the EC by Icde, the executive committee, since last year. And I'm also chairing the OER Advocacy Committee, and I'm an ambassador for the global advocacy on OER by Icde. I'm also myself, and that is both are through Sade. We are also involved in the Quality Network, and especially the one for Europe. So Sade is involved in both those two committees. We're also involved in Icde, and I'm also in the executive committee by Icde, and we're doing a lot of work with them. And maybe some of you have followed the events we have had during spring and autumn due to the COVID-19. At the Dublin conference in 2019, or actually somewhat before, actually at our autumn conference in Stockholm by Sade, we launched the Nordflex On collaboration, which is a cooperation with the Nordic countries. That means Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Iceland, and Norway. We are also at the Nordic level involved in NVL, that is the Nordic Network for Adult Learning. And for many, many years, over 10 years, we Sade coordinated the Baltic network. That was an extended network for the Nordic countries, but also for the Baltic countries on open education and OER, so the Baltic. Then we are also partners with REK, that is the National Organization for E-Competence, and I know that we have Bengt Olsen together with us today. He is also from REK, so welcome, nice to see you here, Bengt. And we are also involved in the national initiative about digital skills and job coalition Sweden. We are members there as well. So we do a lot of networking and partnership within the area of open and flexible and distance learning and the digital transformation. So the new normal, we all know that that has become some kind of concept. And COVID-19 has really turned everything around. And it has changed and will change the learning and educational arenas from now on and forever. Some people are saying, oh, it will be nice when it will be normal again. Well, it might be, but that normal, which we knew back in February or even maybe December last year, doesn't exist any longer. So the new normal is about change, resilience, agility, and sustainability. When that was very currently in spring, we took the decision from Sade to engage in whatever we could. So we first of all were engaged in the international campaigns like with the Icde, Learning Together, and Icde and Online Together, and also the UNESCO Learning Never Stops. But we also took a lot of own initiatives. We launched for our webpage, for example. We launched resources for educators about how to switch to not just the remote urgency online learning, but also with quality. And that is a huge difference, as also Turon was pointed out. We also wrote an article in one of the journals for academics here in Sweden about the new normal. It's about what I said earlier on about resilience, sustainability, agility. And then we, our autumn conference, we decided at an early stage to have the theme on the futures of education. As many of you know, UNESCO launched the initiative in 2019 about the futures of education, because there are many futures. So we dedicated our autumn conference to that. So over to you, Ulf.
Yeah, thank you very much. We mentioned cooperation and networking, and we want to be among areas where things are happening. And UNESCO has a wonderful initiative about the futures of education and learning to become. And after the conference we had in online conference, of course, we sent some summarize and some we filled in some documents for what we thought was interesting. So here you can see some of the conclusions, and one of the questions was about what are you most hopeful about, and I think open and access was the winning words in our word cloud. And we will also be back in OER issues. But it was also about concerns, Ebba, the next one.
Absolutely. Maybe we should say that those questions were generated from the guidelines from the UNESCO, how they wanted or suggested how you could perform a workshop or a focus group. So we followed their guidelines. Those questions were theirs. Yeah. Yes, please, Ulf.
Yeah. So they are writing very nicely on UNESCO webpage about if we think together, we can act together, we can make the future what we want. So it's a very nice initiative, and they will have some summit in the end of next year. I think it's in November 2021.
Yes, exactly. So we followed their guidelines, and that was to have workshops and with those questions. And also one question was about the futures of education. What were people thinking about the futures? So here were just a screenshot. We worked in Zoom, and we had breakout rooms, and people were working together, and somewhere in English and somewhere Swedes, and so it was a nice mix. But anyway, those were some of the things which come up. And those are the questions we discussed around. You can see the questions was, for example, considering the visions of 2050, because that is what the initiative is talking about. What should be the collective purposes of education in 2050s, and what are the visions? So one answer was, for example, I believe that transversing access to the network will be a new norm for learning, plugging in valid resources, filtering knowledge and applying to our own lives. So it was very much about personal learning, I will say, those reflections which came out. What we also did was to send in our report from that workshop we had, and with all those answers what people have been giving. And as Ulf was saying, the report will come out rather soon, and they really wanted to have bottom-up perspective. So that was one of our initiatives from Sade to be part of that. Of course, we in Sweden follow all the initiatives from UNESCO, like the SDG, like this Futures of Learning, which we just have talked about, with the Open Education Resource recommendation, which was out in 2019, more or less exactly 1 year ago. And also this initiative, which was set up due to COVID-19, Global Education Coalition. So this is very much the background, what is, and foundation, what is going on in Sweden right now. Another initiative about governance is the Open Governance Partnership. So this is a page from Sweden, and maybe you know that the Open Governance Partnership, they do a lot for opening up education, not just education, but also the society, due to those initiatives by OECD and by UNESCO, not at least, and United Nations, for human rights, for democracy, for social justice. So if you haven't followed the OGP in your country, I really would like to recommend you to do it, because they are doing a lot of nice things. Actually, we got an article accepted on demand from them on OER, so that was very good. So they are really, really good to work together with and to build partnership with. UNESCO and the World Bank and UNICEF have recently come out with this report, What Have We Learned During the COVID-19 period? And they have done country reports, even from Sweden. And then their summary is mainly in the three aspects: monitoring and managing the reduced learning opportunities. What has happened? And that this is important, but it's not just about reduced learning opportunities. It's also what education is about in the whole. It's so much about social and ethical and moral things, and so much about being together, so much about feeling safe, somewhere to go. I mean, all those social ethical dimensions, which we maybe not always think about when we think about schools and education. And this pandemic has really shown that maybe those other dimensions are more important. And it's also the implementation of and development of distance education, and not just this remote emergency distance education, but about planned quality online education, as also Turan was talking about. and also about safe return to school education. And that is not just again about school education with the content, but also what the whole environment is telling us and how important that is. It's really an interesting report, and on governmental level, they are, of course, looking very, very much to this report and what's happening, of course, in their own country, but also in other countries, and how we can learn from each other. Over to you, Ulf.
Yeah, thank you very much. In Sweden, there's a lot about digital transformation, and here you have a slide showing that they try to sort it out with 5 areas. So the first one is digital skills, about ability and possibility of contributing, and it's about modernizing education system. And of course, the second one is about security, digital security. So it's about digital identity and functioning digital markers and the secure consumers. The third one is digital innovation. And this is about big data and increase the use of digitalization. And this is about a change in the working life. The digital transformation will, new kind of labors will come up and old ones will be more digitalized. It's about modern society building. And then we have, as this satellite event is about leadership, digital leadership. And we work for having clear central government leadership, and we want them to shapen up the transformation, and we want to analyze the new situation with transformed society. So digital leadership is one of our most interesting areas. And of course, earlier years, it was a lot about the digital infrastructure and the broadband capacity and things like that. But I think it's more about digital leadership and, of course, some questions about security. Yeah. Yes,
exactly. It should maybe just add it to that. I mean, all countries would like to be in the most forefront when it comes to the digital transformation. But actually, Sweden is saying that Sweden will really be in the forefront and will really take those steps which are needed to take the lead. And those are the 5 areas which we concentrate on. And as you're saying, Ulf, leadership and governance is really, really important. I think we have maybe someone who will come into the room. Maybe. So maybe you can have a check, Ulf. Well,
yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Yeah. I think he will join.
Yeah, okay. So I think this is yours as well.
Yeah, this is about COVID-19. As we talked about earlier, it was an online conference for us this autumn, and all schools, they want to know how can we implement distance and online education as fast as possible. And people that have been involved in this area since 1984 or longer, they know that this is not a quick fix. So the Minister of Education in Sweden, she has opened up a lot of new opportunities for schools to work more online and more digital. And I think it's a very interesting area. Bengt is writing, I have been in the flexible learning area working with this third generation development. Yeah, but a lot of new people has contacted Sade and the Swedish Association of Distance Education for being member, and they want to have some quick fix. And I think we will be back on that, Ebba.
Yes, but actually this, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Actually this slide and screenshot is about initiatives which the government has taken due to COVID-19. Although most of the schools and universities in one way are rather far ahead, but we have a very huge span where people are about maturity. But actually, the government took a lot of initiative on a very broad front, and also with a lot of money, I will say. And unfortunately, this slide is in Swedish, but the list is very long, very, very long, and it covers everything about funding of studies, about meals in schools. I mean, all over everything is more or less covered. So the government really took a strong leadership on the COVID-19 situation and to support educational organizations. This was one very successful initiative. It is also in Swedish, but it is called A School at Home. And many of the partners, as you can see the logos here, they are from different kind of areas. Even Save the Children's are together with this in this partnership. Actually, they come together, and just over a week, they built a partnership. It was the government, it was public service, it was the school sectors, it was the regions, it was private companies, really a huge variety and diversity of stakeholders. So they come together and said, we have to do something to support educational institutions. So this initiative was for the K-12 sector. And they gathered together and they collected how could we best support academics, learners, parents, admin staff, etc. And how can we also combine it with research? Because that is also very important. And how can we also combine it what is happening around our world? I mean, what is happening in other countries, and how can we learn from that? I will say that this initiative was maybe one of the most successful due to the pandemic, and it will also is also sustainable because it will continue. And one of the success factors were just that they were in partnership with so many different kind of stakeholders, so they got that diversity. And you know, quite often everything are in silos. It is this is my task and this is not my task or whatever, but they really come into partnership, and that was a success story. So that was one of the reasons why we wanted to share this with you, because it is great. It has been announced in many conferences. It has been on TV. It has been on you will say everywhere. What was rather I think it was some months ago, or at least in the beginning of the autumn, they summarized it in the report because they saw that it was very important to align with research from the beginning. Actually, the report they wrote are translated into English, so it is available for you if you like. They come up with 3 scenarios. What have we learned and what can we do? Scenario A, and they also came up with, I mean, there are different kind of levels. It is on national level, it is on the institutional level, and in the classroom or the course. And that is also important that we used to talk about the macro level, the meso level, the micro level, and also maybe the nano level, which is about people. So they came up with those 3 scenarios. Well, either we go back business as usual, but as we said in the beginning, that is maybe not so possible any longer. So another scenario is about a school with restrictions. Or another scenario where maybe some restrictions, but maybe move to more what we call maybe hybrid learning or more online learning. As we also mentioned in this initiative from by UNESCO, the futures of education, there's not just one model which fit everyone. You have to adapt to your context and what can fit you. And that is also why they come up with those 3 scenarios. It is available in English, and it is a really, really interesting research and report if you would like to have a look at it further on. And as I said, this is very strong leadership behind it from very, very, very top level. But there are also the initiatives from bottom up. So here they really meet. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
From the point of our university counselor's office, the government want to know how does the pandemic situation interfere with universities' activities. So many people are really interested in to see what the follow-up will show. And the final report will be in December 2022, but the government, they want to have a briefing during this situation. So I think the University Chancellor's Office, they have a lot of things to sort out and to follow up.
Okay. Another initiative?
Yeah, another initiative. It's about the training of the workforce. And for us in Swedish Association Distance Education, it's very nice that the amount of courses arranged by the Service for Adult Education as work training, they have more and more distance education for every year. So now I think it's about 33% distance education in this training courses, these training courses for the workforce. And I also think that it's very nice when a Swedish national agency for higher vocational education is setting up courses about how you can set up distance education, what you have to think about, how you can educate the teachers and how you can educate the students and what digital skills is needed. So it's very nice with a Swedish national agency that's talking our language now.
What is also, especially with this authority, is that they have put a lot of money due to the COVID-19 situation and how to move online. And they have had now in autumn, for example, one webinar a week with different kind of topics, how you can do with quality open online learning. And they have also put a lot of resources on their web pages with podcasts and videos or whatever. Sade is a partner in the reference group as well. So we are consulted for the work.
Yeah, and then we have a National Agency for Education. It's the whole school area, and Sweden has managed to keep the schools open during this pandemic so far. And I think the National Agency for Education, they are very concerned about access to education and quality in education. And I know that a lot of upper secondary schools are going online, and it's a crucial question about the question about quality in education when upper secondary schools go from classroom teaching to online teaching. So we will see the reports soon, I hope.
Yes. I just would like to let you know that in the slides we have for this presentation today for this satellite event, they will be of course available, I think both from Icde, but also from the Sade's web page. And for all slides there are links, what we are talking about. For example, this report in English. About digital transformation again. this autumn, actually last week, a huge conference was organized in Stockholm and about how to make success with the digital transformation in a society with smart cities. You know, everything should be smart nowadays. So there were a lot of initiatives going on, and which of course will be follow up, but it was a startup last week. I attended that event, and it was really very interesting how the government and leaders and stakeholders at all kind of levels have really come together, and also how they can, exactly with the School at Home initiative, how they need to work together to make a smart society or a smart country. So we will follow that with this initiative, Digitalize in Stockholm 2020, with very huge interest, and you will know more about it later on. We talked about that during the pandemic, it has been very obvious that issues which were maybe a bit vulnerable, maybe a bit not working very good, there were some issues, there were not maybe always good follow-ups or good initiatives. They became very visible because the school and education is so much more than content, and especially with online learning. I mean, when content is available every time, at every place, at every device, more or less 24 hours a day, it is important to really understand and to really realize what is education about, and how, what about the learning spaces. In Sweden, there is it's maybe special, I don't know, in other countries, but we have it like that now, that there is an organization or a company, not a company, but an authority who owns most of the buildings of the universities nowadays. So the universities don't own their own buildings. And that is called Akademiska Hus in Swedish. And they have just written a report about campus and Corona times. It's about the study of campus importance as a learning environment in a period of forced distance learning. And it is very interesting report, because they are really focused on when the school buildings not are just about, you know, the classrooms or whatever it is. What should the school building be for? And then we come back, and they come back to the social, emotional, ethical dimensions of learning and education. And also how the change about how to use our environment for social, ethical, emotional dimensions. So people can come together, sharing things together and be safe and feel trust and do networking. So it really is a report about how to gain in-depth understanding of campus as a learning environment, both for the informal, formal, and digital and social learning environments. So they have really studied how learning has changed in this period of what we call social distancing. And I'm sure that many of the universities are taking note about this, because they have to change their buildings. The aim of the building. What shall the building provide, and what are the learners' needs? It's not just offering, you know, housing and facilities. It is also what are the people's needs, the learners' needs. So this is a changed paradigm and a changed perspective.
There is a lot of challenges for the education system, and this is an example of industry initiatives. This is a fast-growing industry in Sweden called the Swedish EdTech industry, and they were also involved in the project Ebba mentioned, School Back Home. And I saw there was a question in the chat room about the concept, Ebba. Can you see that question from?
What was the question about? Sorry.
It was about the concept for Skola hemma, school back home.
Okay. Do you want me to take that now, or?
I think we have to speed on, but we can come back to it perhaps.
Yeah, we can take it later on. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, but about EdTech, it's a lot of companies, they want to be involved in the education system development. So it's a fast-growing industry. Yeah, next slide.
In Sweden, we have a National Center for Lifelong Learning, and that is called NCEL. It's the National Center for Lifelong Learning, and it's hosted by the Jönköping University. They are doing, you know, lifelong learning is one of the dimensions in the SDG 4. So it is very, very hot and important topic. And it's also very hot and important when we talk about governance and leadership in open online learning, and now for the President Forum, how we can cope with lifelong learning for all. You know, most universities, they are keen about bachelor, master, and doctoral programs, but not to take lifelong learners who are coming and going. And that is again a paradigm shift, that we have to cope with that, not just cope, but also to be in the forefront to enhance with lifelong learning possibilities for all. What are the needs for the learners? And this is the national center we have in our country. They have just some weeks ago again come up with or launched a special report. It's sorry, it is in Swedish, but I couldn't find it in English. But it is about again what we talked about earlier on from Akademiska Hus about the social dimensions of learning. So learning is not just about, you know, the concept, the topic and the concept of the subjects, but learning is about the social dimensions, and how do we deal with that, and how do we work with that, and how do we embrace it, and how do we empower it, and maybe also how we if we want to, how would we assess it. But anyway, whatever, we need to empower the social dimensions of learning. And that has also been, as I said earlier on, very explicit in the pandemic, when, especially in emergency remote education, because that was just about, you know, lectures online. But what is really the social dimensions, and how do we support and embrace and empower that, and to motivate our learners and to see our learners, because everyone needs to be recognized. I'm sure this will come out in English, because it is because they are really doing a lot of research on this area. So I'm sure we can follow up on this. So the social dimensions of learning. Coming back to another topic, which I talked a bit about from the beginning, when we saw the OER logo, Open Educational Resources. We all know that almost a year ago, the OER recommendation was adopted by almost 200 countries, even Sweden. And we are very happy for that. Actually, we have asked the day after it was launched, I phoned to the UNESCO department in Sweden and asked them, what are you doing to do now? And of course they couldn't answer. But on the other hand, and they said that we have to wait for the government, etc. But some advocates in our country, with the advocates on OER, and as you know, I'm working as an advocacy committee for Icde as well. So me and some others, we said that we can't wait for the government. We have to do something ourselves. So by Wikimedia, we worked to translate the OER recommendation to Swedish, because we thought that it is much easier if we can to understand what it is about, because this recommendations is more about the whole concept of opening up education than just, you know, video recordings or lectures and the materials as such. So we worked during spring and summer about the translations. And actually, we had a meeting yesterday, and we will launch our new webpage on the OER recommendation, the 25th of November, exactly a year later than the recommendations was adopted. But already it is out on Wikimedia's webpage in Swedish. Because it is much easier if you can have the recommendations in your own language, because then you can relate to it. Because it's so much more than the words. It's also about the context as such. And as we who are here today, we know that the recommendations are about 5 areas: about capacity building, about nurturing the use of OER, about policies, about internationalization, and also about monitoring and evaluation. So with that, I will actually more or less launch the report we have done from the OER Advocacy Committee. As I said, both Dana Sver and Xian Yang are here with us today. We have done a survey how members from ICD have adopted or responded to the recommendation. So we had a survey out in the summer, and now we have more or less finalized it. And it will be published by ICD rather soon. Thank you, Caroline, for working together with us on this. That will also be announced for the President Forum, and also to be discussed, because during the President Forum, the 25th, the new strategy for ICD will be launched. And actually many of the strategic objectives are about opening up education, and not at least about OER, and not at least as we have those OER recommendations. So follow ICD's report series, and this will come out pretty soon. Thank you from the ICD OER Advocacy Committee, who have worked together with me on this one. Some of the results are that all regions responded, and that was very nice. Although it was individuals who responded, I mean, they couldn't maybe say what is exactly happening in the country, but it was their view what is happening in their country. But we got responses from all regions. And maybe I should just also say that another conclusion is that the whole area and concept of OER and opening up education was more or less forced due to COVID-19, because we had some questions. We had questions about all the 5 areas, but also some questions about COVID-19 and consequences by COVID-19. Many respondents said that some issues were taking place already before COVID-19, but it has been catalyzed to work even faster and to even fine-tune initiatives. So I think we are more or less in the end of our satellite event. So we have 2 questions. If you were to provide one piece of advice to governments in responding to the pandemic, what would that be? And do you have recommendations for cross-country collaboration? Anyone keen to say something about that?
Ebba, can you say something about the question about the school back home?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, the initiative was, as I said, that many of those stakeholders and organizations who were involved, they saw within their own organization that there were so huge needs, but they also realized they couldn't do it themselves. So they had to build partnerships. That was one of the success factors. They built partnerships because together they could be strong. And what they did was to set up support pages, of course, to organize webinars, to organize conferences. For example, they had a one-day conference, which I attended, with all the stakeholders, all those organizations involved, and also the Minister of Education were there, and also pupils, of course. so yes, the main success was that they were building partnerships, and that with that they could do a lot. I see still one of the initiators, he is in TV more or less each day, promoting and talking about this initiative. And I also think that those scenarios they come up with are very wise, because I mean, there's no scenario which fits everyone, because everyone have to see what is possible in their context and what can they do. How mature are they in the area of moving online, for example? Because also what came up from this project was that it was so clear stated. Again, going back to normal is not possible. We have to build on what we have, and those scenarios can build further. And there are also suggestions for each of the scenarios what you can do to achieve what you want to do.
I have a quick question.
Yes, Caroline.
About NCEL, the lifelong learning organization in Sweden.
Yes.
As you know, Icde did the lifelong learning conference in 2019 in Lillehammer, and I just wanted to understand how closely the Nordic organizations that focus on lifelong learning work together to learn from each other's experiences in terms of cross-country collaboration.
Yes. It is. It's a very good remark, Caroline. Thank you for that. I think there is so much more which can be done.
Okay, that's interesting, because there's discussion of possibly doing another lifelong learning conference.
Yes, I heard that the other day, but from Turin. Actually, maybe you know that we have established what will be established a new NVL group which is called NVL Digital. And that will be a permanent group, and that this was so late as last Friday. So there will be a permanent group, and then we discussed very much about lifelong learning. So we actually discussed that question, that it have to come up more on the top level of the discussions.
That'll be interesting if we can pick up on this.
Absolutely. And then Turin said that there will be a follow-up from this lifelong learning conference in Lillehammer 2000, was it in 2019? Yeah. Yes.
And then, my other thing, bit of advice to governments in responding to the pandemic, personally from my work, is to have a better coordinated effort. Because it's not just pandemics, but this is what's going to be addressed in the Icde President's Forum, is that when there are situations that we do not plan for, I mean, I can give, for example, the situation in Beirut. So they had the pandemic, plus then they had that massive explosion in their harbor. And there was no, obviously it's something that you don't plan for, but these things do happen, these worst case scenarios, which is what we're going to be addressing in the forum on the 25th. And it's to have a better framework that education providers and the private sector and the government can work within to ensure that there's resilient education. So that would be my only comment.
Yeah, I totally agree, Caroline. Thank you for pointing out that. I think that is also very much stressed in this report, lessons learned from UNESCO and UNICEF and those organizations which I mentioned. Because I mean, now we have the pandemic, but maybe next year we have something else. And
yeah, I mean, there's climate change. There's going to be huge amounts of migration.
Yes. So the thing is, what we have to cope with is not just to cope with, but we have to. That's why I think we had one of the slides. The new normal is about sustainability, agility, and innovative. I mean, all those kind of things to cope with situations which we don't know anything about. Neither what it is, or neither how long it will be, or neither exactly all the details. We need to be more flexible, and universities are maybe not that flexible as maybe other.
There's one question I see.
Yeah.
Is it
I
in
think
Q&A?
I think it's about school back home again. But do you know how many participants that used the support from school back home?
Not how many participants, but I know that all schools in Sweden were using it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many they are.
Yeah. We,
Can I make some comments if it's
Yes, please,
possible?
Faria, please.
I really congratulate you on your efforts. Based on your questions, open questions, I just want to give us some recommendation if it's relevant for the future.
Please do.
Based on the UNESCO reports and sustainability perspective, I suggest to point out the safe school concept. Because maybe we are in pandemic times and we don't know in the future what kind of crisis or different dimension will be involved on the school structures. And based on the governmental perspective and policies, it is better to internalize the safe school concept. And also for the cross countries collaboration, maybe it is good to study on this in relation to the online learning facilities and the environments on the safe school concepts. As you know, that it is not only for a pedagogical side, psychological side, physical infrastructural, these kind of dimensions which can be integrated to the merits of the technological facilities. This is what I want to give us some suggestion for the future cross-cultural collaboration.
Yes, thank you very much, Faria. Very good. I think as both you and Caroline pointed out, I mean, there are so much needs for cross-country collaboration because again, I mean, there is so much work to do and we can't reinvent the wheel all the time, all of us. We need to, I think that has also been shown, not at least by Skola Hemma, where the success factor is cooperation, collaboration. And if we can do that also, even universities in one country, for example, but even cross-country collaboration, it's really, really needed because it is also said that to cope with the situation with learners out there, there need to be built one university a day. And that is not possible, neither desirable. But what is desirable is that we can make it learning for all if we go more for flexible open online learning with quality and with collaboration and with agility and with sustainability. So I'm sure that there will be, this President Forum will be very, very interesting because it will really help us to shape the future, and maybe those satellite events and the discussions we have had here can promote the discussion. From Sade, we have also contributed with one blog for the President Forum and also one blog. And actually I did 2 more over the weekend about OER, also one blog and one blog. So I think that will be published pretty soon.
It's up already on the website, sorry.
Oh, you're wonderful, Caroline, thank you. So if you would like to continue the discussions and the contributions, please go to the Icde webpage for the satellite, for the President Forum, and you can find more information both from me and Sade, but also from others, of course.
It's on the pre-forum materials for the conference.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, we would like to thank you so much, all of you, for being together with us for this Icde President Forum Satellite Engagement event, which we organized by Sade, the Swedish Associations for Distance Education. And your collaboration is really, really valuable for shaping the future, which we all have to be engaged in. And as I said in the chat in the beginning, I mean, each of us can't do everything what is needed, but all of us can do something, and especially if we collaborate. And as many of you know who knows me, my motto is caring is sharing, sharing is caring. I know that we are over time, but maybe there are some remarks or reflections or questions. And we are not that many, so in case you could just open your microphone and just raise your question.
Just want to say thank you very much to you for hosting this satellite engagement event. It's very much appreciated from Icde's side.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, ICD. Anyone
Yes.
else?
Yeah, thank you very much. We're looking forward to the president meeting next week, Wednesday, 25th.
You'll get all your information this week with the meeting room links. So don't worry, I've already had emails asking if they've missed the email.
Okay.
You'll get everything. Don't worry, it's
Thank
being
you very
worked
much.
on.
And in case you would like to come more in contact with us, please just drop us a line and we can continue in one or another fora. We are all over the places. So by that, thank you so much again, and take care, be safe, and
Thank
yeah.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Just there's one question here.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you.
Thank you, Don, as
Thank
well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Did you also had a question, or you just wanted to?
Josefa, are you still here?
I am still here, yes.
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 Is
Well,
that
there were two things. First of all, Lena posted something in the chat box, which I
Yeah.
thought was a very interesting, about some an initiative in Sweden in higher education via a Facebook group. And she mentioned about a national network for IT. And the Facebook group with 4,000 members. And my comment was that I think using social media as much as possible is a really good idea to engage, particularly teachers who, from my experience, my limited experience in the UK, are feeling quite threatened and nervous and worried about what online learning means. I have watched in my own London uni, I work for two universities, one in Spain, one in Madrid and one in London. And the one in London, I have watched and seen some of the attempts by some of my colleagues to take their learning online. And there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of trepidation. Many of the lecturers are, shall we say, well, I'm quite old, so some of the lecturers have been around for a long time, and this element of change is quite scary for them.
Yeah.
So I thought this comment from Lena was very relevant.
Yes, of course it is. Oh, really, I appreciated both Elena that you raised it, but also that you took it now. When we, I mean, it's not any excuse at all, but as I said in the beginning, we choose this this perspective from the government perspectives, what they are doing, and also from the learner's perspective, not really from the teacher's side. But this initiative is great because it just happened also by volunteer work, and I think there are several thousands members and very good discussions. So they support each other. Actually, there is another one as well on Facebook about distance education as such.
That is
So
really good to hear.
Yeah.
Because I suppose one of my interest areas is specifically finding ways to support teachers, trainers, professors, university lecturers who would not naturally want to admit that they find this a little scary.
Yeah. And it's also like that, I mean, nowadays you don't, send people for a course or for some training because it's so much about just for me and just in time learning. And also that with peer learning or with team learning, you learn often much more better.
It's very true. And the other thing I thought was really interesting that you were talking about was quality. Now, one of the other hats that I wear is as a business excellence assessor.
Okay.
And I work for the UAE government in this regard. And so I look at both leadership excellence and also operational excellence in human resources. And I have to say that I think one of the biggest issues facing all of us is making sure that what is translated online in terms of learning provision is as high quality as possible so as to get the best engagement.
Yes, absolutely.
This coupled with the fear that teachers, trainers and professors feel together makes it quite overwhelming for some.
Mhm.
And I have to tell you, some of what I have seen is far from excellent. It's very far from excellent. And if I was perhaps a learner, if I was a student in higher education, I would feel shortchanged, but I would also be sharing some of those experiences verbally. And I think this is a huge issue for
Mhm.
us to try
Yes, yes.
and address, but sensitively, because lecturers have all this wonderful knowledge and expertise, but that doesn't necessarily translate through the way that they communicate online. Am I
Yeah,
making any
exactly.
sense to you?
There was a, when you're talking about that, I mean, teaching online is not just to, I mean, that was the problem really in spring in most of the countries, that people were just, you know, recording things, and we all know that that is not often so good quality about that. But there was actually a nice research report from Sweden also the other day coming out, that teaching is so much about emotions, movements. I mean, when you just have a screen and you just see the face, you don't see the whole body language and this kind of things. And it's so much about emotion and also about the voice. Sometimes you have a very low voice and sometimes very high, you know. And I mean, there's so much how you can engage with it, not just to deliver your message.
It's very, very true. And this is because I started in the professional training field
Mm-hmm.
in corporate. This is where my focus is in education, to try and help my colleagues as best I can, to create the human side to
Exactly.
online learning, so that it isn't just showing PowerPoint slides and recordings, etc. But I feel that this discussion is going to go on and on in various satellite sessions and on the 25th. So I'm going to stop it there. But it's
I hope
certainly
that has been very clear, because I at least have been saying many times that education is so much more than about content and degrees, and it is about the human side and the social ethical side, and that is the most important.
I am completely with you on this,
Yeah,
completely and totally. So thank you so very much. I have really, really enjoyed this. And yes, I shall hold all my other questions for different times. I shall go to the pre-forum blog and contribute there. But I have a lot of questions and ideas.
So
So
maybe you will be at the, you know, at satellite event, we will have a different groups from each of the regions. So I will share the one from Europe. So maybe you will be together with me there.
that's the one. I think that's the one I've booked in on.
Yes, I think you have. I don't know if you have to, but I mean, I think you will be in the group where you are coming from, because it is important with the context as well.
Yes, I think you are my facilitator.
Yes,
I put
and for
in.
Europe,
So,
yeah.
you will see me then. I'm feeling a little under the weather today, but you will see me then, and I'll put my camera on and I will wave to you. But
Yeah, so we will continue the discussion.
I will send you a virtual wave now, and thank you and Ulf very much indeed for this evening.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for joining
presence.
us. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah. No more questions in the chat room.
No more questions?
Lucia, do you have any further questions?